Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is a pop-up episode, not our typical Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time episode, but feel free to like and subscribe to episodes. This is the Vault, episode 383, How to Build Credit with Trust. I definitely want to do this episode. This is one of the questions we get in consultations all the time. Very misconstrued topic. A lot of times people are kind of left in the dark about this particular question that they have, and so we're just going to go ahead and address it in the public. So we appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens to the replay. Once again, this is the Vault, episode 383, How to Build Credit with Trust. And so this episode is a very important episode because so many people say, "Oh, we going private," and they don't understand that most of the financial institutions that they're dealing with are in the public. Most of the financial institutions that are in the public don't like dealing with private entities specifically for credit. A lot of time people don't understand, when you hear these gurus on the internet or these guys on the internet, they're literally PGing. They're putting out certain type of information, whether it's the grantor or things of that nature, but they're saying that they're in a private position. So we can go over that and actually talk about that today. We're going to talk about how to build credit with trust. And if you'd like to know more in depth, we do have a business credit training manual that goes inside of trust. And that's why we're doing a workshop starting out this year because so many people have businesses. They need to focus on building a business credit, whether they need to get in trust or not. And most of the time, the public entities are going to be able to handle the credit situation. And that's what we're here to clear up today. We're going to address quite a few ill-advised moments on the internet about these people talking about, oh, I'm in trust and, I'm building business credit on the trust, the SESTA trust, the government trust, all this stuff that it makes no sense. Because once again, if you're taking it into a private position, why would a public entity engage with a private entity, knowing that the rules and regulations in the private are completely different than they are in the public? The public has specific regulations to protect people from private predators. You can see predators are in the private, and it's one of those things that we're just going to go ahead and talk about today because so many people are left in the dark with this. Oh, I'm going to put my name inside of a trust. People say, oh, I'm going to put my name inside of a trust. They're going to put their name in a trust and things of that nature. They're going to put their birth certificate in a trust. They're going to be able to build business credit off of the trust. And it doesn't work that way. Specifically when you're talking about it from a private capacity. And that's what we're here to address today. So, how to build credit in a trust. We're talking about that at the workshop. Doing business without a social, only an EIN properly. That workshop. Feel free to reach out. We actually are definitely down to the last days. We're ready to go into March. We knew it would be a sellout event. It always is a sellout event. A lot of people don't understand how powerful our workshops are, but we always have sellout events, and that's partially just because of the fact that the information is in demand. Is the information going to be cheap? No. Are we talking about long-term equitable information? Yes. It is a private information? Yes. And so we're going to address that today in this episode because a lot of people reach out with this question about how to build credit with the trust in the private, and it doesn't work that way. For all you all that are thinking you're going to put your birth certificate in some type of trust, for all you all thinking that you're going to build some type of massive amount of credit with a private entity, you're completely wrong. People are completely wrong in this perspective. When you're talking to the gurus over the internet, ask them, are they doing specifically through a private entity or when you go and deal with the creditors on the public side, credit card companies, they traditionally are not lending credit or extending credit to trust. They're lending it to individuals, they're lending it to public entities. This doesn't need to be a long-winded episode. This is to get the facts out there on the market. So when people say, oh, I'm going to this guru, he's telling me I got to spend thousands of dollars so I can put my name in trust, so I can be inside a trust. But next thing you know, you're not even in a position where you're able to build credit, which business credit is always going to be better than personal credit. But people don't understand the difference between public and private. You got these goofballs over the internet telling you public and private don't mix, but then they don't want to tell you that in the private sector, you're not building credit, you're building equity. There's a big difference. You're not just building credit, you're building equity. Equity can be sold off as debt. They don't want to tell you that because they don't know business, because they're ghetto superstars. That's what it is. And we're here to clear the record straight. So when you're dealing with the right people, when you're dealing with banks properly, they're building the credit on the LLCs, on the C Corps, even if you want to go there with S Corps, partnerships, all those different things. They're traditionally building the credit on the public side. So that's why the trust still, at the end of the day, traditionally, even on the private side, have LLCs under their belt, have C Corps. That's why you see so many wealthy people. We used to sit in a room with wealthy people and say, how are you going to be a billionaire running everything through an LLC? That means your whole entire portfolio is exposed. You got to have some type of education in this environment. And we're providing it with Trustee Training. We're providing it through the workshops. Because there's a lot of misinformation on the internet telling you that you could build credit with a trust in the private sector, but for some odd reason, when you go fill out the application, they still asking you for a personal guarantee. Why? Because the trust doesn't have any credit. So who is the trust going to build a Duns and Bradstreet number? Traditionally, that's on the public side. The public side builds credit because that's where the credit is being extended at, to public entities, so you can bankrupt them if they go under. It's going to be rather challenging for them to come after a creditor, to come after a private entity when they're not in the public in the first place. That's the difference. It's an education that goes along with this information. You can't just be given some information and think, oh wow, I'm just going to go out and build this entity and everything's going to be great. Yeah, right. How you going to build credit on an entity that's in the private? It makes no sense. So we're talking about building credit with a trust, but you got to do, and what we're talking about through the workshop is not doing it with an SSN, not doing it with a personal guarantee. See, everybody want to tell you, oh, I could build a credit on the trust, but are they building American Express on the trust? Are they doing that with an LLC or a C Corp? Go ask them, are they doing that with their charities, since they want to talk to y'all about that? How they building the credit with the charities that's in the private? These things are funded privately through private enterprise, not through the public. So when we talk about the public, we're talking about credit. When you're talking about the private, you're not just talking about equity or your debt. You're talking about equity. You can sell off equity, no doubt about it, but that means you're the creditor in the private. So how you gonna build credit when you're the creditor in the private? And then you got these guys that they're just really good wordsmith. They gonna Houdini tricks everything, tell everybody anything they want to hear because they're super salesmen trying to get you to buy and sell a course. We don't care if you come through our course. That's not what we're here for. We're here to clear up the information on the internet about the fact of, do you go in LLC? Do you go in C Corp? Do you go in trust? When do you need it? When is it best to? These are the things that we're talking about over at the Vault. Sharing with our trustees through consultations, through trustee training, even the workshops that we're providing. But they want to tell you, oh, just go out and get into a trust. That's what the internet pundits tell you. Oh, just get into a trust. What trust, public or private? There's two different ones. Oh, well, we're going to go there. Let's go a bit further. Which one are you going to build credit on? You going private, but you're building credit on an entity that is already a creditor? How you going to issue? Who you issuing credit to if you're already a creditor? For supposedly through your birth certificate. We already know. It's a bunch of misinformation out there. People don't know what the heck they're talking about. So we're just going to go ahead and clear up the air. People talk about, oh, well, do you do it in the private? No, it's coming from the public sector. That's why we're doing the workshop. So you have a full barrage of whether it's public entities, whether you're doing a course, whether you're doing a C course with state to incorporate in, all those different things. And not PG in it. How you going to build credit on a private trust and it has no credit except for the assets that it's holding? So do you know how to go to the bank to extend the bank, get the bank to issue a credit appraisal based off of the assets in the trust? Most people don't know how to do it. Do you know how to get the bank to issue a letter of credit based off the assets that are being appraised. And not only are the assets now being exposed in the public, they're not private anymore. Why? Because you're exposing the assets from the private entity. It makes no sense. If it's a private entity, why are you exposing the asset holdings? So you can get some public credit issued to it. So you can go out and get debt. Instead of understanding that on the public side, that's where the credit is issued to the entities, those hollow entities, those entities that can absorb debt because they can be bankrupt. That's why most of the public entities don't want to deal with the private entities, because they're not made for debt. They're made for asset holding. That's the difference. But the gurus over the internet, they want to tell you about building your personal credit. They don't want to tell you that business credit gets better than personal credit. So why not go to the workshop that shares with you how to build the business credit? Because it's too easy to listen to the guys over the internet selling cheap courses. That's all it is. We have no problem with talking about what's considered to be the competition. These guys aren't even in our league. Women included, if you want to be out there and hear the pronouns. It's business, not personal. How do you build credit with a trust? You have to understand that trusts hold assets. What could be an asset? Multiple businesses. And multiple businesses could possibly go bankrupt. How many companies are operating in the public right now that are literally, they're in the red, but they're operating? The United States is operating in the red right now. They're trillions of dollars in debt, still issuing debt to this day. They're operating in the red. Oh, well, the United States is a corporation. That's what we used to hear back in the day. Oh, the United States is a corporation. Right. You didn't hear them say they were in trust. And if you did, that's not on the public side, because there's a difference between public and private. There's a difference. There's a difference. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to type into the chat where you're listening live or listening to replay from. Oh, but we had to do this episode today because we see, the competition out here, people out here talking, they think that they're going to come over to the vault and, try to steal information, things of that nature. We have no problem with putting out the content. Why? Because we already understand. It's still a difference between public and private. There's a difference between being in the public and talking about it and the private and execution. It's not that easy to execute it when you don't have all the information. That's what the gurus aren't sharing with you. How you going to build credit on the private entity when you got a PG? It doesn't have credit in the first place. But when you build a credit profile on the public entities, it's a little bit more comfortable for the public entities to continue to still establish credit and lend credit. Why? Because of the fact that they understand it's a tax write-off. Are there taxes in the private? It's taxes in the public. It's a tax write-off to extend credit and lose money in the public. But this is what they don't understand, and they just want to talk about over the internet because it sounds good, because they're selling you some course, some SPC bull crap, some secure party creditor bull crap. Oh, if you get secure party creditor, if you take over your government, name the all caps, name the straw man. They got this term called the straw man. Let it go, ladies and gentlemen. There is no damn straw man. It's you. What did you earn? Did you make money or lose money? The number has no validity unless you do something with it. Period. EIN or social. It has no validity unless you do anything with it. But they want to make you think you believe something for nothing. Oh, well, because you were born into Earth, Mother Earth, because you were born into America, you're worth something. What you think you were born? If you were born into another country, would you be worth something? That's real talk. If you were born into another country, where it isn't like in America, in the United States, you think you're gonna be worth something? You gotta ask yourself these questions. Oh man, my birth certificate. They still people out selling courses about some daggone getting your birth certificate authenticated. They come up to the consultations all the time. Oh, I got my birth certificate authenticated and I put it inside of a trust. Yeah, you put your birth certificate inside of a so-called trust. Did you create it? We ask some simple questions. Did you create the trust? They can barely answer the question. Who's the beneficiaries? Who's the trustees? These are the questions that we're asking. But they want to tell you put your birth certificate in a trust. Did you create the birth certificate? Did you create the CUSIP number at the bottom of it? No. But you got it authenticated. It's going to make it some type of difference. All it is a damn rabbit hole of making you lose your time, lose your money, and lose your interest in creating wealth, getting wealthy, creating something, creating jobs, creating resources for people. That's the difference. This message may not be easy for the young birds to hear, but it's a lot of young people that say, oh man, I've been dealing with the Moorish Science Temple and they're trying to make me pay for my freedom. What you mean pay for your freedom? How you going to be free poor? You got to get economically free. You got to get your money up. Once you get your money up, you got choices. Oh man, this isn't, hey, we're going to go there and say it today. Oh, this isn't real money. That's what they be saying. This isn't real money. This is the white man's money. What the hell? The money's green. That's what they want to talk about though. They got you occupied in poverty mentality, poverty conversations. Instead of focused on building assets, acquiring assets. Is credit an asset or is debt an asset? Equity issues debt. When you go buy a company from the stock market, they have equity, right, in the company that they're selling. They're selling you a debt. That means they owe you when you redeem the certificate. They're issuing you a debt. That means they owe people money. So when you cash out of the position, when you sell them back the shares, they give you money. But this is what the idiots over the internet that are pushing courses about your birth certificate, not knowing how to structure assets properly, this is what they're pushing. The garbage. They're selling you poverty mentality because they don't want you to build an asset. They don't want you to compete. We don't care if you compete over here. There's trillions of dollars in the marketplace. You may only need a few million. You may only need $100,000 to live off. Who knows? So we don't care about competition over here, but we're going to address the issues that we see, the buffoonery over the internet. And then they keep telling you to go put your birth certificate in some daggone trust. They keep telling you to, authenticate your birth certificate, telling you to run through some stupid process. You want to know why you're doing it? Because you're looking for the easy way out. You're looking for something for nothing. And the sooner you clear it up in your mentality, the sooner you say, I got to create a business that's going to generate some money and I got to figure this thing out, the sooner you'll be along your way. People have businesses selling pet rocks. What more do you need to do? They got businesses selling Teletubbies. They got businesses selling waistbands, Spanx, socks. Build a business. But they don't want to tell you to build a business. They want to tell you to live off your birth certificate. Like you're worth something. You're not worth anything. You got to build the equity and sell it to the marketplace. That's what you got to do. You got to build a business. Sell the equity to the marketplace. You think banks aren't trying to buy the equity? And they did it obviously in the Teletubby business. The banks obviously did it in the pet rock business. They obviously did it in the sock business. They did it in the shoe business. Do you have to prove your concept? Sure. How do you build credit with a trust? You go out and start companies. Trusts are not necessarily they're not considered a company. Considered an asset holding vehicle. They hold assets, specifically the private ones. When you think about even a living trust on the public side, these people that's basically where people, when they pass, they try to put their assets in a trust. But when you don't know this space, people want to come over here and they just want to tell you anything. Because in the private, what are the rules? In the private, where is the accountability? It's unregulated, right? Right. Appreciate Columbia, Maryland for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate Columbia, Maryland for tuning in live, listen, replay. But they don't want to tell you that, huh? We're just going to go ahead and talk about it. Been waiting to do this episode for a long time because everybody wants to know how you build credit with a trust. You got to start a company. Can the trust own the company? Sure. Can you be the manager of it? Sure. Can you be the member of it? Sure. Will you have to PG it in the beginning? What if you have to PG 1 or 2 credit cards in the beginning? But that's why we're doing the workshop. so you don't have to start out doing that. So when you go into the public, you can build credit without an SSN, only an EIN properly. This is what the things that the internet gurus and goofballs don't want to tell people, because it's easier to keep you a dependent. They don't want to make you financial. They don't want to. They don't want to be around financially independent people. Why? Because they're not financially independent. That's why. Appreciate Northern California for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Northern California for tuning in live, listening to replay. Appreciate Mississippi for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate Mississippi for tuning in live, listening to replay. So, this episode doesn't need to be long-winded. We're just going to go ahead and talk to y'all about it. Whether you're dealing with the Moors or internet goofballs, gurus, whatever you want to call them, they want to sit here and talk to you all about nothing other than making sure that you're financially independent and trustee training. See, we're not talking about keeping people dependent over here. What, you going to depend on the government for your retirement? We already did an episode about the retirement myth. Do you think the government owes you something? That's how you know you got a poverty mentality. The government don't owe you nothing. The government is the people. So that means you owe yourself to get off your rusty dusty and create something. Create a new business. Create a better pair of socks. Create a better pair of everything. They don't want to create a new business. Right? They don't want to share with you that you don't have to do it through a PG, through a personal guarantee. Why? Because they never did it. So when we bring them into the had international banks, created 2 international banks in foreign jurisdictions, lived in a foreign jurisdiction, lived on the island that we're talking about. But oh no. You got the gurus sitting in Atlanta or wherever they at, and they want to tell you, oh man, just buy my course. Come to my university so you can reclaim your birth certificate. So you can't do what they didn't do. Discharge. Because they not discharging nothing. Because if you're discharging in the public, you're private. That means you're quiet. But why are they sitting on the internet telling you how to discharge something? Because they're not private. That's why. When you're private, you can't talk about discharge. Because it's a private process. But you think you're going to buy their Dropbox and get in their Dropbox, and next thing you know, you're sitting over here getting their courses, getting a redemption book that's sitting on the internet for free. Because all they did was repurpose the information and put it back on the internet in one organized manner. Oh, wow. And you're impressed? We're not. We had no problem with investing in the relationships. That's what we did. We checked out. We lifted up the curtain behind the Wizard of Oz. That's all we did. That's all we did. We lifted up the curtain. They want to sell you redemption packets. What are you redeeming yourself from? That's a religious mindset. You're trying to redeem yourself from something. No, what you got to do is build equity. You got to build value in yourself. You got to get yourself privately educated. Did the public school education provide you with the best education? Did they give you a financial education? Did they teach you about taxes? Did they teach you about business? No, because it's a planned education. That's all. It's a planned education. And you got to plan your financial future. That means you got to plan your education. And it ain't no time to be complaining about it. Complaining to your family, complaining to your friends, complaining to the internet gurus. Oh man, the government's got me in trap. The government ain't got you in trap. The government's the people. But you ain't got the right mindset towards the government. You got an adverse party situation going on. Trying to do some stupid secure party garbage. Securing what? You ain't even did nothing with your life. You've been an employee. You're trying to secure something and you're an employee. Give me a break. I'm trying to secure party myself. And we already know why they doing it. Because they're trying to get around all the things that they really owe on. They're trying to take advantage of the system. Because they think the system's broken. No, you're broken. And you're broke. And we got to tell you this so you can correct your thinking. Come to the realization that, hey, you know what? Maybe I do need to go out and start a business for less than $800. Maybe I need to go to one of these websites and get them to do the work for me. Open up the business, get the EIN. Maybe I need to do that. Maybe I need to get the operating agreements, the articles of organization, the articles of incorporation. I need to get that done. I need to get the bylaws done. I need to get that done for these companies. You're supposed to turn, what they say, what's the new tea today? Oh man, you're supposed to do what you love. If you do what you love, you're supposed to turn it into a business. So then you never work. What they say, if you do what you love, you'll never work another day of your life. That's bull crap. You're still going to work building your passion. You're still going to work building your loves. But you got to put money and time into them. You can't sit around complaining that you wasn't given something for nothing. If you want something for nothing, go live in a country where you're really going to get something for nothing. But if you're going to earn what you're going to keep, you got to put up the shut up. That's it. And the way that you do that in trust is by building companies. They keep coming to the vault. They keep talking about, oh, I'm trying to build a protection or a legacy for my family. But you got a job. How you going to build a legacy for your family with a job? You got to build a business. Go open up a business. Then they come to you, oh man, well, how many businesses should I open? Well, you can open up one business that manages multiple assets. A company still can hold multiple assets. It can hold multiple dreams. You don't have to have one business going on inside of the business. Any major company, when you look at them on the internet, Tesla's not just owning, it doesn't just own cars. Elon doesn't just own a car company. Doesn't he have the solar under it? The solar panels? Doesn't he have the SpaceX under it too? The holding company. So when you sit here and say, oh man, how many companies should I start? I got all these different passions and all these different goals and all these different dreams. Just start a company. Put the assets, your goals and your dreams in a company. But see, the workshop is going to tell you how to really use the UCC. When you come to this workshop, doing business with SSN, only an EIN properly, you learn how to put assets on a UCC from a company's perspective, from a business perspective, not a personal perspective, thinking you're going to get something for nothing. What a joke. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening, replay. Always appreciate everybody tuning in live, listening, replay. Appreciate San Diego for tuning in live, listening, replay. We got Maryland tuning in live, listening, replay. We got Wyoming tuning in live, listening, replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. Feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com. If not, you can go back and listen to the previous episodes. If you'd like to make it to the workshop, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. We'll send you over the details. The workshop's full. We're going to go ahead and put it out there. A lot of times people don't really get that. Like, oh man, well, what do you mean? Well, the workshop's full because the people that need to be there, they're going to be there. Not leaving the doors open forever. For what? It's not that type of operation. You got to make sure that you can cater to people properly, intimately answer their questions. When it's a 3-day, why you think the workshop's 3 days? Because it's an extensive workshop going over the manual. So you can do business without an SSN, only an EIN properly. Think about it. You went to school for however 12 years. Did you learn how to do it in 12 years? No. So you're not going to learn it in 1 day. It's going to take some time. And the reason why it's 3 days is because it's an intimate setting. That's why. We normally do 1-day workshops at the vault, but this is one where this is it gets you the tip off to starting the year right. People supposedly getting tax refunds and say, oh, I'm going to go on vacation. That's all they're doing right now. They're about to go on vacation with the money. They're about to buy some leisurely activities instead of investing in their goals and their dreams so they can sell off the equity and really have a UCC to put together. So when they go to the bank, they got a UCC that says, oh yeah, we got a website. Oh yeah, we got an app that's worth something. We got product that's worth something. We got inventory on the UCC, but they don't tell you that on the UCC for the birth certificate stuff. You think your birth certificate is worth some money? Give me a break. It's a joke. It's catering to poverty mentality. You want to reach out for the workshop? Feel free to reach out for the workshop. Christian at trustchristian.com. We already been filled up the room 2 weeks in, but we talked to the mentor. We said, can we have some additional spots? We didn't even advertise. We didn't even talk about it for a whole month, and we filled it up. But at the same time, hey, look, we usually hold workshops for a certain number. Usually, the mentor wants to hold up a lot smaller setting, but we make sure that we talk to the mentor because this is something that we don't usually get this mentor to come out. This mentor has no interest. When the mentor is telling you how to build millions of dollars of business credit, what do they need you for? We're not even going to entertain every question that comes in through the comment and the chat session. A lot of people say, "Oh, you got the chat open." We just appreciate people tuning in live, listening to replay from wherever they're listening from. You got you got these people sitting over here trying to tell you in a country of 300 million people that as soon as you're born, you're worth millions of dollars. These are people that they come from nothing, so they think that they're worth something when you didn't create anything in the world. You didn't create a resource. You didn't create anything. You think because you're born you're worth something, and that is called something for nothing. That's the unfortunate part. People are being sold this because look, that already lets you know where you come from. If you came from money, you be getting an inheritance, not from your birth certificate. You get an inheritance. Just because you were born doesn't mean you worth some money. Once again, appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. We doing business over here. We're not over here talking about no damn birth certificate, which is a personal situation. We'll leave it at that. Christian at trustchristian.com. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. Peace and blessings.